ways. If ICE shows up, do not resist, claim your rights. Know your rights, shh, stay silent. Request a lawyer. Todos unidos, jamás seremos vencidos. Stay safe.
I want to take you back to the year 2020, the greatest year of all of our lives, and a significant moment in that year pertaining to a man known as George Floyd, who is no longer on this earth. And him dying resulted in a bunch of people proclaiming injustice and how much black lives truly mattered if they fit a certain criteria. And many people were protesting what they thought was police brutality and an injustice in society in how people are treated in interactions with police as black individuals. And they peacefully demonstrated how they wanted to go about operating their critiques of the system and how they wanted to bring forth change. And the reason why you barely saw any of that is because we had more coverage of the Summer of Love and how much protesting led to riots and how burning down the Wendy's was somehow equal to trying to save a black man or a black woman's life, because I'm also going to throw Breonna Taylor in that conversation as well. And ultimately, all these years later, it seems like all of that was absolutely pointless. Why? Because as much good as people wanted to have in these conversations, as much change as they wanted to peacefully bring about, people did not care because they were focusing on the looting and the robbing and the burning down of stores and businesses, no matter if they were big or small. And they were focusing on the many people who were sitting at home states away from where this was saying, yeah, this is perfectly fine. But when you ask those people if that could happen to you, all of a sudden they have a sense of morals and they don't want to be burned or they don't want to be stolen from. Why am I mentioning all of these things? Well, it seems like that current trend is happening again, where in California, you have the issue of the ICE raids and deportation, and people are very upset about that, and they want to demonstrate how upset they are about that, and they want to peacefully talk about and maybe make a little bit of change, but nobody can focus on that because of the various images and the various videos of people burning cars, standing on burning cars, breaking into buildings, stealing things from those said buildings, and all of this is to somehow convince the overarching powerful government, we are upset that you are deporting people. We are upset that you are sending ICE raids.
The protests, and even those who were out of step with what we are advocating, peaceful protest, did not create any violence. Nobody was shot. Nobody was killed. Get it in your head. And so when martial law is called, what are you going to say? I missed the point. Don't miss the point, you all. Don't think that somehow, because they called out the National Guard, there was violence. There was no violence.
Oh my gosh, guys, they opened the Adidas store, damn. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh.
Part in this protests, or not taking part in the protests, but perhaps exploiting it for their own ends, like people you see here that are looting this store. They're stealing sneakers, and they're going to be selling them. And they're being caught on video from various locations on both sides of the street. And so there's a good chance that their faces will be recognized, and that their little spree of theft will be rewarded with some accountability that will land them in jail. That is what is being promised by the chief, by the mayor, by the sheriff, that people who take advantage, people who are involved in violence, vandalism, theft, will be held accountable. If not tonight, as the mayor just said, it will happen down the road. Don't think you got away with it.
And I'm just going to say it because I feel like I know the score, and maybe I'm wrong. Hopefully I'm wrong. They're going to use all of this against you. They're going to ignore all of the people who are trying to get the message out there, and they're going to focus on all the people who are not going to take the moment to actually care about other people. Because what have I been saying? Opportunists suck. Activists suck. And when they collide, people are going to focus on the opportunists and make it as if they're all a bunch of activists. And we know they're not. We know that's not the score. We know that there are people who wouldn't participate in this. We know that there are people who will call that out. But the problem is there are too many people who are focused on their opportunity, and the traction of online is going to make somebody see that, and they're states away, and they're going to say, yeah, keep doing it. I'm proud of you. I'm proud of you right now.
Okay, so we're about 5 years out from the last nationwide riot that broke out during Donald Trump's last administration. And now it's looking like the newest one is starting to kick out in LA right now, right? And people on the right are going to spend the next couple of weeks trying to blur the facts for you and say how these protesters just are doing this because they hate America and they just want to see the cities burn and all that. But while the facts are still out there, right, it's important to remember that these people are completely justified for protesting, okay? The Donald Trump administration is sending American residents to gulags in South America, and even when the Supreme Court says to bring them back, they're doing everything they can to resist it. That is a threat to all Americans' liberties. If you were getting sent to a gulag, if one of your family members was getting sent to a concentration camp, would you be justified in protesting? I think so.
And they're not going to participate whatsoever because they don't want to go to jail, just like how they know some of those people are going to go to jail. And this cycle is going to repeat itself to the point where they're going to send more of the National Guard. Whether it's constitutional or unlawful is a matter of understanding the wordings of the law, which I believe stems in the favor of the governor of California. But again, that stems upon you understanding the law of who gets to call in the National Guard and how that process works. But when you have these people who are co-signing activity that's destructive to the conversation, you have people who don't care about the conversation. They just see an opportunity to get some new shoes or a phone or maybe some type of an electronic, and they're going about their merry way. And you have people who are already against you, who already disagree with you, who already don't care, seeing that and saying, all of you are a part of this. You don't win in the end. So now you're going to look at me and you're going to say, well, what's the solution then? Really, there is none, because you could say call it out, but the overarching situation of online algorithms will not get your voice out there. It will stem from a bunch of people saying, oh, who cares? We want to riot. It's how we're going to make change. Remember the LA riots? Remember the change that came about that? We could do it again, and we're going to actually get the job done this time. And then you got the division between the Mexicans and the blacks.
This effort to get black people not involved with unified political struggle is one that serves white supremacy. The ICE raids that are happening in LA right now are symptomatic of a bigger problem of white supremacy, and white supremacy anywhere is a threat to everyone, everywhere. So if you're deciding to sit this one out because your black face on white supremacy didn't win an election, you were never with us to begin with and are just looking for an easy outlet to blame in immigrants. You justify your own inaction when you don't really do anything except vote every 4 years anyways, while at the same time trying to isolate black people as if we haven't had racial solidarity in the past. Also, we're easier to exploit by white supremacy and capitalism. And the gag being they deporting black people too. But what the fuck are y'all really doing? Sitting out is a fucking privilege. Frankly, black people can't afford to take. Oh, but there's some people who are anti-black in the Mexican movement. Bro, there are black people who are anti-black in the black movement. Don't get to pick and choose what justice is justice. Either you're with us or you're not.
And then you got the random white SJW just sitting there like, oh my God, I don't know who to side with because I'm trying not to be a racist, but I also don't want to see people deported, but I also don't want to be called someone who upholds white supremacy. And it's this mass confusion where nothing gets done, to the point where I'm just going to sit here and say it. We're fucked. If you're somebody who's wanting to see this change, you're hoping that somehow you could get your government to not deport people and that they could go through a due process, you're fucked. Because all of this shit I've shown you in this video will be used against your positive message. It will be used against your discretion. It will be used to further fan the flames of division and to sow more towards people to go towards conservatism or go towards the right. And I'm not a political strategist, but it seemed like that strategy worked real well in the presidential election. They looked at all these things, whether if you view them as minute or big, and say, if you don't want this, vote for me. And they're going to use all of this and say, hey, if you don't want this, vote for me. And that's just me and my really big wop head thinking in the long term. But in the moment, they're going to look at this and say, see, this is why we want to get rid of this. Look at all this chaos. Look at all this turmoil. Look at all these issues. When you could just be 1%, it could be a small majority. It could be 20%. It could be 30%. The overarching majority of you could be trying to spread a positive message. But the reality is people are going to focus on the minute and make it out to be the whole thing. Does it suck? Yes. Do you have a way to combat it? No, because you're going to sit there and call somebody a buzzword and think that that's going to be a lucrative way to get them to stop. But it's going to amplify them to say, oh, I got more for you, motherfucker. And ultimately, I'm seeing this as an absolute negative. I'm seeing this as something that's going to lead to no change being done for a bunch of people who hope for change being done, at least on one side of the spectrum, because on the other side, it's a bunch of people saying, I'm getting what I voted for. I wanted this. Yeah, I want all these people gone. They came here illegally and now they're getting out of here. I don't care. And hopefully all these people who are rioting and they break into these stores, they go to jail too. I win in the end. And that's the lose in the other side of that spectrum, because you wanted this change, but now they're using all of the significance of trying to distract you from change to destroy you. And that's no one's fault but your own, because you don't have any proper leaders. You have a bunch of people who are standing up and saying, hey, do this, hey, do that, hey, do this, while they sit comfortably somewhere else. So I said earlier, I don't really have a solution, but I have like an idea. Get somebody who doesn't want to fucking condone the dumbest shit under the sun, and who wants to try with a position of power to get your message to where it could matter. Because I'm gonna be honest, in about 2 months, we're gonna move on to like the next big thing to focus on throughout this year, because that seems to be the trend right now, because it's one significant moment we focus on for about a week, maybe 2, given the circumstance, and then we move on to the next one. And unfortunately, when it comes to this significant moment in time in California, we will move on to the next thing, because we as humans are bored quick and we move on to the next thing. But to wrap this up, I do, again, have empathy in this scenario. I wish a lot of due process could be done. I wish a lot of circumstances weren't this dramatic. I wish we didn't have to go immediately to a little bit of an aggressive manner. And I wish we could uphold some type of structure in the law that doesn't make it seem like this is all dictatorship, because it kind of looks that way. And that's just me blindly wishing. But let me know. What do you think in the comments down below? Are you in agreement with this? Do you disagree with how this is going on? Do you wish that there was a better way to go about this that didn't lead to all this fucking kerfuffle? Or is it exactly as you had hoped for in the ways of how you wanted it to go? Subscribe to the channel. I will see you all in the next one. Mwah! Goodbye.